So, if you've been following me for any sort of amount of time, you remember these OG TikTok videos that I posted about how I leveled up my life in 90 days. And I'm going to basically redo these videos and add a little bit more color to each one. So, if you truly are serious about leveling up your life, I hope this helps you. As always, any questions you guys have, comment below. I will answer to the best of my abilities anything you want to know because we're all in this journey together, okay? You are not alone. These are 4 lists that you need to make right now to change your life. Do not skimp on these. Take your time. This shouldn't be something where you just write out 3 or 4 things and you're done. You need to dig deep and challenge yourself every time you write something. Is there more? Is there more? Is there more? Because this is basically going to give you the ability to give yourself a roadmap to change your life. The first thing I did before I went on this journey to level up my life is I made a list. Now, if you're anything like me, you live and die by lists. I have to-do lists. I have lists for things I need to pack. I'm obsessed with like Notion. It's one of my favorite organizational apps. And lists, it's just how my brain becomes very happy with certain things. So I made a list of a few specific things to help me kind of plan out and map out how I was going to level up my life. The first list I made was an asset list. So a lot of people think of assets as what they have financially, what they, their possessions, if they have a home, if they have a car, if they have stocks. For me, I had nothing. I was broke. So my assets were more intangible. So connections I had, certain people that I knew, certain skill sets that I had that I could potentially monetize. And when I'm talking about assets, I'm not talking about just like I know this person and I know this person. Like, no, I made a list of, I know so-and-so and why are they a good connection? How could they potentially help me out in my situation? I have this skill set. So one of the skill sets I wrote down was social media. And I wrote down, what am I good at doing on social media? I'm good at editing videos. I feel like I'm pretty good at filming content. I'm comfortable speaking in front of the camera. I love posting. Another asset I wrote down is that I'm good at fitness. So how that was going to help me down the road, I wasn't sure, but I wrote it as an asset because it's something that I had that no one can take from me. If you do have money, if you do have stocks, if you do have a car, I wrote down my car, even though I couldn't afford to make payments on my car. It was still something that I had that I was able to utilize to get me from A to Z. So when you're making a list with your assets, don't think about just material things. Think about people that you know that are able to connect you. Bless you. Joseph just sneezed. It's very as quietly as possible, but we're polite over here in the Fox house. So you always want to take care of your camera guy, filmmaker. What would you like me to call you? Videographer. Creative partner. I love this. You always want to take care of your creative partner, AKA your creative bestie. I think I'm just going to call you my creative bestie. So asset list, that's actually, you just gave me another idea. Thank you so much. So that was another thing as I identified people that I knew in the creative space, who could help me create this, who could help me accomplish this. I really took a look at my entire life and I made a list of what I had that was like a positive or an asset in my life. The next list I made was a liabilities list. A liabilities list is just that. What is going to potentially or actually subtract from your life? So you can start with finances, right? What debts do I owe? What is costing me money that I don't need to be spending money on? I was in such a bad spot financially. I had to cut out my Dunkin' Donuts habit. I had to cancel my Netflix subscription. Like, I was so broke. I had a WIC card and it didn't actually work. So like my liabilities I was real tight. Then I also went to the liabilities list and I was in debt too. So I wrote out all of my debt, all of my credit card debt, all of my rent that I had to pay every month, my bills. And basically, I put a star next to anything that was not absolutely necessary. So, for example, if I have a car payment, the car payment's paying for an asset. I need the car. So that debt isn't actually a liability. That kind of cancels out as a liability, if that makes sense. But if I'm paying for something like a Netflix subscription every month, or I was so broke I couldn't afford to get my hair done, right? I'm sorry. Like, I had to buy box dye for a little bit. We're going to do our manicures at home. I'm just going to make my coffee at home. I made a list of things that were basically not adding value to my life. When it came to people on the liability list, they would be people that drained my energy. They were people who were comfortable where they were at in their life. They didn't have to necessarily be somebody who was a bad person to make it on my liabilities list. It was just somebody who wasn't adding value. And that might sound very cold, but when you're in a space where you are desperately trying to change your life, anyone that is not helping you propel forward will be a liability. It's that simple. If they are not adding value, if they are not helping you, if they're not somebody who you feel better around, who is going to inspire you to be better, if there's somebody that is going to take any ounce of your energy away or be neutral at best, they are a liability. And it doesn't mean they stay on that list forever, but I'm just saying for this initial list exercise, you have your assets and you have your liabilities. There's no in between, if that makes sense. Then you're going to make another list called your life list. This is the list where you get to dream. This is where you get to think of, like, what do I want out of life? If I wasn't raised a certain way, is this the life that I would want? So I was always raised to get a job, climb the corporate ladder, go to college. I grew up in a regular household. We didn't have a lot of money, and my goal was to be like a boss babe. But when I sat down and I made this list of what I wanted out of my life, I realized I didn't want to work 80 to 100 hours a week anymore. I didn't want to run my own business. I wanted a traditional household life where I got to be a wife and a mom, and I didn't have to work 24/7. I wanted to be in a situation where the man is the provider and I get to be, in charge of the household. I really wanted that role. So that's something that I added to my life list. I added, I want financial freedom. I want to have a life of luxury. I want to have peace. I want to have loyalty. I want love. I wrote out what I wanted my friendship circle to look like, what I wanted my son and I's relationship to look like, how I wanted to physically look, how I wanted to physically dress. This list, there's nothing off limits. You write whatever you want your life to look like on this list. Every single detail. And then the next list is going to be your action list. And this is where a lot of people have the hardest time. I personally had the hardest time with this part. You have to take a look at your list. So you have assets, you have liabilities, and then you have what do you want out of your life? Underneath that, you're going to have actions. You have to match up what you want out of your life to what you're capable of. Let's say you want an amazing husband who's loyal and who is a provider. Look at your assets and be really honest with yourself. Are you a loyal person? Are you a woman of value that a provider mindset man is going to look at and say, this is a woman that I want in my home to take care of my children, to manage my home and to bring me peace? Are you that woman? Are you healed? Are you working on yourself? Are you good with finances, right? If you want a man who's a provider and you're blowing all your money on stupid shit, how is that going to make you a good partner for that person? Do you actually line up with the life that you want? Are you bringing to the table the assets that are necessary for you to have the list that you want? This was a tough pill for me to swallow because I was not very good with finances. And I had to get really honest with myself about that and be like, you know what? If you want to be with a man who values money, who values working really hard, you're going to have to level up in this area, and you are going to have to educate yourself, and you're going to have to work and become financially somewhat stable on your own before you get to a place where you can sit at the table and look a man in the eye and feel like you're worthy of being his partner. If you want to be with a man who is going to protect and provide and allow you to be the mom and the wife, Are you a good mom? Like, I really had to look at myself. Am I worthy of a man who wants a mom to his future children? Am I that mom right now that someone's going to look at me and be like, that's who I want to have more kids with? At the time, I wasn't. I was very stressed out. I was in the thick of my anxiety, of my depression. I was not the mom that I wanted to be. I was being a mom in survival mode. I'm sure a lot of women can relate to this who are single moms. I was just literally skating by, doing whatever I could do to put food on the table and to make it through another day. But that wasn't enough to get me to where I wanted to be in life. If you do not work very, very hard to change whatever mindset you're in now. So if you are in a victim mindset, if you are blaming your circumstances on outside things out of your control, if you are lazy, if you are not honest with yourself, that mentality is going to keep you stuck. And those qualities you have to rip out of your brain when you're going through these lists and when you're evaluating yourself. You need to be extremely honest with yourself. If you're looking at this from a business perspective and you're like, I want to grow my business, I want to get this job, or I want to get into this school. Maybe you're in a marriage, you want a better marriage. You can do whatever it is you want to do in life if you have the qualities necessary to be matched with that quality that you want in life. So you can't expect to find a loyal person if you are not loyal yourself. You can't expect to get that job promotion if you are not willing to work hard enough to deserve that position. You have to prepare yourself to where when that opportunity comes along, it just fits and you don't miss it. Distracted again by the steps down the stairs. But it's okay, we're just gonna keep going because that's what we fucking do here. These are 4 lists that you need to make right now to change your life. Donut.